Hi everyone! Thank you for joining me today. I know it's been a long time since I've done a video, so I am going to be kind of green all over again. I don't know if I ever even got used to doing them in the first place, but it has been a while. At the beginning of the year, I was fortunate enough to get a few more clients. I'm a caretaker for elderly folks, but like a lot of you, we all have been laid off. And now I get to play in my studio. And today I am going to do a tutorial on these tri-folder pockets. This one in particular, I have made a few others which are just as cute and fun. And the reason I started making these is because I am working on a journal that I needed them in. I want to kind of show you it, but I can't because it is a designer, a guest designer project, and it is also for my friend Chantel over at Red Page Cafe, and I don't want her to see it just quite yet. All right, like I said, this is going to be kind of hard for me to get back in the wheel of things, so please have patience with me while I stumble along with this tutorial. Let's see. Oh, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. I really appreciate it. With this tri-folder pocket, if I can figure it all out, am going to have where you can find my web page and download these images from my web page, collectivechickadee.com. Oh my gosh, see how my brain works? They are going to be the same size as here. Of course, you can mix and match any of your other digitals. I just thought it might be easier for some to follow along by using the same images that I'm using. But like I said, once you learn this process, it is easy to implement any of your images or any of your downloads that you may have purchased or create your own. I have to say, these are all from Pinterest. So all I did was a screenshot and then sized them to the project that I'm working on. Now, I did use envelopes for this project. You do not have to use brand new envelopes. You can just use discarded envelopes that you've gotten your junk mail in. You also can do this project without using envelopes at all. And I'll show that after I show you how I created this one. So to familiarize what we're going to be working on, I use vintage ephemera that I printed out, and I figure if I was to get some vintage ephemera that they would not be straight and undirty and untorn, unworn, and that is how I actually lay them onto my envelopes. I want it to have the 3D effect. I definitely like the textures, and I don't glue everything down all the way. I like the movement of it, and it just gives it like it is an authentic pile of ephemera. If you were to have a whole bunch of stuff, photos and ribbons and pieces, that is kind of what I'm trying to show in the finished product. And we'll get started. So we are going to start, like I said, you do not have to use brand new envelopes. As a matter of fact, I think it's better if you don't, because that means that you didn't have to spend any money on it. But since I already had these envelopes, this is what I've done. what I'm going to do is ink up the edges, and I'm going to be using Gathered Twigs. It's my go-to ink. I know we all have our favorite. For the longest time it was Vintage Photo for me, and I've gravitated to the Gathered Twigs. And so I am going to go to my cutter, because these are going to be like this. I am going to cut the edge here on this envelope and this one. Then I'm going to ink up the edges, and then for the smaller envelope I'm going to cut the top. And you might want to know what the sizes are on these. Not that it's important, but let's see here. I have two that are 6.5 by 4 3/4, and this one is, it looks like it's in between 5.5 and 5 3/4 by 4 1/4. And I'll come right back after inking those up and cutting the edges. Okay, so this is what I have, where there's an opening on this side and on this side. I'll show you in the completed project. That way you can stick some ephemera in there, little secrets there and there. And on the smaller envelope I did cut this, and this is what that's going to look like, because I do have a pocket here for more ephemera. I am going to glue these together. So I like to slip the little top of the envelope inside here, and I think I'm just using this glue. My daughter has reorganized everything, and she found all sorts of projects in the kids' art studio. I had one for me and one for them. Of course, they're all grown up now. She brought this glue, and I kind of like it. It is just Elmer's glue, and it's got a thick tip and a skinny tip, and it says it's non-wrinkle free, and kind of fun to be able to use something that I've had and was just going to go to waste if I didn't use it. Just going to use my little bone folder and put it in here. Now this is kind of you're welcome to make this just like I am, or if you want, you can leave this little tongue out so you can then adhere it into one of your pages so it is in your journal where you have sewn it into your signatures. So this little flap, let's pretend this is your signatures, and you could actually sew it in, and this is either a place for you to journal on. You can adhere the two sides, and this can be a little pocket, or you can also adhere other ephemera onto it so it's part of your pages that you're turning in your signatures. I believe what I want to do is to go ahead and glue this together like so. Like that. So this is what we have. 2 holes here for pockets. And we'll come to this little envelope that has the pocket here. And we are just going to start decorating. Like I said, you can use the ephemera that you already have, or you can print out the ephemera that I have for you to go find on my webpage. Let's go ahead and decorate the little envelope. So I'm going to need this, and what I like to do, instead of taking the time to cut, I like just to do the tear factor with a ruler, and you can use a metal ruler or you can just any kind of ruler. It doesn't matter. I find it gives some nice little texture when you're tearing it like this. And it saves on the time. Not that it matters, because you should never rush into any kind of project. Because when you're making something, it should just be fun and relaxing. That's the way I view it. But it is kind of nice just to tear like this and not have to worry about the fussy cutting. So we're going to need that. We are going to need this little image here. And we're going to need these images. I think probably just 2 of these. I'll go ahead and get this top one. So grab any ink that you like and ink up the edges of that ephemera that we just got ready that we're going to use in our project. Now that you got that done, this is going to be a little bit longer, so let's go ahead and measure what needs to be torn off. And do save your little scraps, because you will definitely use those, whether it's in this project or in other projects, because it's just beautiful wordage. And of course we're going to have to ink up what we just tore off. And let's go ahead and wrinkle it up and get some creases in there, and use your ink. Like I said, it doesn't matter. I like to tear the edges a little bit and then fold the pieces and ink them up, and this really gives it some texture and some movement, which I, of course, love. Let's see here. I think I'm going to have to ink the back side because it shows a little bit. Maybe I need a little tear here. I do need to take note of which is the top. As a matter of fact, I think I might glue, since this came apart after I had to cut it, I think I'm just going to glue just a little bit there to keep it closed. So you want the pocket part to be on top, and just going to glue just kind of roughly around. Like I said, I kind of like that it's got some edges that you can lift up. I wonder if I should change glues just for this process. I just love being able to use this, and who knows how long the girls had this in their little art studio. Because I have to tell you, they are all grown up. One's going to be 21 in June, and Tana is going to be 23 in August, which is just crazy hard to believe. And it doesn't even have to be straight. Like I said, it's great to have movement in there. I am going to go ahead and use my bone folder just to make sure it is adhered pretty good. All right, now for the inside. Since we have a little pocket, I want to make sure that the bingo part shows. I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm going to tear it right around here. And we don't have to ink this side because that's going to be in the pocket. But we do need to add something on this side. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue it on here. That way there's no stark white spots showing on when we open up this little flap. And ink that because that is going to be showing. And we will just go ahead and tear. You think if you're going to be using all your scraps, you end up making a whole bunch of more scraps. And I am going to glue this so it is against this side. So I'm going to glue it right here. That way we can enter the pocket on the other side. And it's kind of fun to make it so it's not straight. Just have it poked out just a little bit. If you wanted to, we could maybe add, this is just a scrap of, that's just laying around. Maybe we could just add one more little dimension. It's not necessary, but like I said, when you're making a project, you think you know what you're doing, and then you get inspired to add more, do more. Let's tear that up a little bit. And since that glue is still wet, I'm just going to stick that's what's so fun about making these, is that you just can add more and more layers. And like I said, just don't want it so it's glued down. Can you see that? How much that just kind of add a little bit more dimension. All right, let's do the inside now. I think I'm going to have this. 'Here, and maybe add a little bit of tear and a fold. I think, before I do that, this piece that we tore off from here, I think I'm going to actually glue that down first. Just because it is what I did with the previous one, and it does add another layer. And then here. And we could just fold the edge a little bit and add some ink. Let's see. And this is the piece that I have kind of laying across here. So because it is kind of cockeyed and also poking out on this side, we are going to have to decorate this side. So I guess let's go ahead and grab another scrap that you just have laying around. I have something here. And glue it. I better tear this straight so I can use it for other projects. I need this to be a little more distressed. Tear off a piece, bend a piece. Isn't this fun? So you can maybe understand when I was making one how I had to then make more. Isn't it crazy? But that's what art is all about, just to get lost. And I don't want to fill this up with paper, but I think I better make it so there's a little bit more dark there. All right, is that where I want that? Yeah, it is. So I'm going to do the same and just kind of randomly glue. It doesn't have to be, like I said, all over the place. That's what makes it so fun. That's what makes it have the texture and fun layers. All right, look at that. So the pocket is still accessible right here. And that part is done. Do you like that? All right, now let's go ahead and we'll put that aside and we will work on this. Now that that is dry from the glue, I'm just gonna make sure it's creased nice. I kind of like to let that glue dry a little bit before I mark it. Let's see, what do we need to do here? I need to, this is the front. I'm going to grab this image so glad I'm doing a video. It has been a long time. Thanks for, I know I told you already, but really, truly, thank you for joining me today. My eldest daughter, so let me back up. My youngest daughter moved down to South Texas to Padre Island last January. And our eldest daughter was still living here and working, but she just relocated down to Arizona and left yesterday. And I was so sad. I just knew I wasn't going to do good with empty nesting because I love my kids, but I did raise them to be independent, and they are both very adventurous and love the outdoors like my husband and I do. So I knew it was going to happen. I just don't want it to happen. So she got laid off a couple weeks ago, which is amazing because her employer actually paid everybody a whole month's worth of salary. So she has been packing up her stuff like she's never going to come back, which of course is sad for me. But she also was tidying up everything. I was just like, oh my gosh, she was trying to get rid of stuff like art supplies. And I was just like, no ma'am, that is not, no, we don't ever get rid of that stuff, because even though we're not using it right now, it doesn't mean that we're not going to use it later. She should know better not to throw anything out. So she was helping me organize, and truly, we went through every closet and drawer and room, and I was able to get rid of some things that I no longer use. And I don't know if you are over at Eva Zakova's Bohemian Crafting. She and I are friends, and we were chatting, and she even mentioned this in her video, that I told her that I was tidying things up and getting rid of things that maybe somebody else is going to be needing. And so she started picking up and cleaning up and doing things, and she put away something that she has no idea where she put it. Well, Eva, the same thing happened to me. I had a huge stash of all my tea dye, or my tea bags, and I put it all together in a special spot, and for the life of me, I cannot find it, which is funny. Because I listened to her video, and she's just like, okay, my friend Eve and I were chatting, and she was tidying, so I tidied up and I lost stuff. So that is a bad thing. That is a bad thing. But it's good to tidy up and get rid of things that you know that somebody else can use if you're not using it. And I feel good about the things that I took to Goodwill. And I think there are going to be lots of people out there that are not going to be able to, after being laid off from work. They will feel like they should not splurge on themselves, and I was able to get rid of some beautiful clothing that I no longer am using, so I'm happy about that. So I'm just going to edge these like we did with the others here. And then I will distress it afterwards. I'm not sure if I have to tear any of it. This piece is just an extra piece because we're going to have pockets to put things in. All right. So I was going to do the outside first. And I think I want a couple tears here and there. So Eva, I feel your pain about misplacing your special tools. It's funny. But if you were to see my studio right now, any of you, you would be like, really? She tidied up? I have such a mess. It is kind of funny. Kind of funny. But it's a lovely mess, as I tell my husband. It's a beautiful mess. isn't this big enough? Well, that's okay. That just means I get more layers. What should I add there? Let's see what else I can find over in my pile. You know, I kind of like this green color. I think after I printed this out, I saw that it wasn't big enough, so I resized it. I'm hoping that is what I did. I know I did some resizing on things. Don't hold me to it, but I think that is what I did. So I'm just going to grab what I have here. And just make another layer. And as you know, you can't get rid of any of your scraps because you can use those for other projects. I do know that on here, this is what we have so far. Yes, this is a little different. This is from one of my digital downloads, and I do have another one of those, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. That is not going to be on the printed stuff for you to pick up, unfortunately, but please just grab anything that you can find to add right there. And I didn't even realize that until just now. But since I do have a couple of these already printed, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And also, I should put this here so you can see, those tickets is from a download that I got from Debbie from Her Vintage Garden. So you can either use a ribbon, you could use die cuts, you could use other little tickets, which I think I'm going to actually do as well. If you wanted to, you could turn this into a pocket by just putting glue here and here. I am not going to turn this into a pocket, but I'm just telling you, really, your imagination can just go wild and you can do anything your heart desires. That is what's so fun about this. I do want to grab some tickets already tea-dyed. I wonder if I should get some kind of color. Let's see what I can find here. Okay, well, this is what we have for the front page. Lots of texture, fun layers. I am going to fold this, and I do have one more image I want to put on here, and that is this little camera guy. But I do want to make sure that's good and dry before I fold it, but what I could do is go ahead and get this distressed the way I want it. Okay, the front cover is done. Now all we need to do is the inside. I'm going to let that dry before I go ahead and crease that. But while that is doing that, we could put this in where it goes. Like so. So those pockets that we made at the very beginning are on the outside still. And we are going to just slide this part of the envelope in here. And we are going to attach it to this side so we can still access this pocket from the back side. And I'm going to slide it all the way down at the bottom. That way these are not so ginormous. And I'm just going to go ahead and score this again on this side. For us to fold this side. That looks nice. Just want to rub this really good on that glue that I just put on that flap of that envelope there. So there we have it. You can do a little closure if you wanted to. I am not going to do a closure on this. We can put things. There is, I think, is this the only extra little piece that is in that print off? Oh no, there's two. Let's see, there's this piece and the other part of that report card that you can use. As a matter of fact, I think what I'm going to do with this piece is turn it into a pocket. That is the one element that I wanted to put in that one that I finished, but just haven't done that yet. So let's go ahead and do that. I am going to adhere this here, just the corners, so then we can put something back here. There we have it. Now on the top, you can decorate it any way. You can add flowers, you can leave it as is, you can add die cuts. I would probably layer this, have some kind of something to make it pop up even a little bit more. You can add fibers. Yeah, just play, just have fun. I do want to put something in this pocket. I think I'll go ahead and put this extra little ephemera that is in your print off somewhere, maybe not even in that pocket, but you do have the front pocket to put something in, and the back pocket, and of course this top loading pocket. Now I did tell you that if you didn't have envelopes, don't despair, because you can still, you can still make these without an envelope. Let me show you what I mean. Alright, so there you have it. That project is complete. You can see all the textures and the layers. Here's your little pocket. We can actually put this in there too, I think. And here, and here, and here. I hope you enjoyed making this. I do want to show you before I close out that if you don't have any envelopes, you can make this just by printing off your ephemera. And all I did was doubled it. I glued the top and the bottom. So you still have these pockets here. You can just add your layers. You can, instead of the envelope here, you can use another piece of ephemera that you can glue for the front. You can grab a little bag and you can stick that in there and have it as another layer. You can just leave it as is, and then if you didn't want to do it that way, you also could just print out one sheet, fold it like so, glue the top half or the edges. Maybe you just want top loading, and just add your layers with all the texture. Then you can still add another little piece for closure. You can poke a hole here and have a string that wraps around. But I should show you the other ones I made, maybe a little more detail. This one is made out of a paper bag like this. I got the layers here. I made a little pocket. I used some Scotch tape that I just put alcohol inks on part of it, so whenever I need it, I can tear it and it gives that vintagey little look. So you have a pocket here. This, I need to do more layers. As you can see, it's too light. Here I made a little closure. I added an eyelet. Lots of textures and tears, so there's still lots of layers there. And then you can just wrap that up like so. That's one. This one I made just, the base was a scrap piece of ugly scrap paper. I think it was a Santa Claus one actually. And I just started adding layers. Staples. This part just folds out. This one feels pretty thick just because I had that little Santa Claus paper, and so I glued the ephemera on the front and on the back, and so it made it so it feels nice and sturdy. This is also made with a piece of discarded piece of paper as the base. How cute is that? This one I think was the original one that I made, and I had that little slot in the top here. This little print off as the closure with this paper clip. And I think with this one I'm going to put some cloth tape here. I just love, love, love what folding up the edges and tearing, and just a really fun effect. And I think after I made that one paper bag one, I decided that why not make this as a journal cover. So this one I'm going to actually put pages in. And how pretty is that? Once again, thank you so much for stopping by and doing this tutorial with me. You will be able to find those print-offs on my website. The link should be at the bottom, if all goes well. Until then, please be safe and warmest of wishes from me. Bye.